Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics video on the channel. It is Wednesday. It is time for trade talk ahead of round 4. Last week of best 18, so 2 trades this week will be quite important to setting your team up in the best possible way you can ahead of going back to best 22 next week, because hopefully we have all sort of kept on track and we haven't sort of mucked around with our teams too much, and our team will be looking good for best 22. So as always, we'll go through the most traded in and out players for the week, give my thoughts on them, and then we'll go through my top 5 targets and then what my trades are looking like this week. But let's start with the most traded in players for the week. So at number 1, the most traded in by a fair distance, nearly 13,000 more, is Christian Morais from Port Adelaide. So had a really good score last week, scored 93 against Essendon under the roof, minus 27 break even after going up 78k last week. And, oh, geez, he's not must have, but I'll tell you what, he's very, very close to it, right? Minus 27 break even. If he scores a 60, he goes up over 70k this week, which is ridiculous. Like, I think this game against the Saints for Morais could be a game where he could do something similar to what he did last week. And if he was to do something like that again, he's going up near 100k. And you looking all of a sudden, a guy over 400k could be near the mid 400s and maybe 500k in 2 weeks' time. Who knows? Like, that's how much cash he could make in 2 weeks. Like, he could make 150k in 2 weeks. That is something to be looking at. Obviously, Port might get a few guys back. Butters might be back this week. A few other guys, which obviously Jordy flagged that last night, that with Morais is what's his job security looking like. I think Morais, the way he played against Essendon last week, I think his job security is fine. I think he's locked down a wing role and other guys are going to have to fill in around it. So I think Morais is a really good option, someone I'm targeting this week, and I'll go through my trades after, but he's someone that's definitely very high on the shopping list. Another guy that could be quite high on that shopping list for me and for you guys is Riley Bice. So he's number 2. 5k coach have brought him in so far. And obviously this is of Tuesday night, so these are going to be a lot higher come sort of partial lockouts and when people are looking at trades. But minus 3 break even, 280k. Looked really comfortable in his first 2 games. Obviously mature age, 24 years old. 35 points in, just over a quarter. Then 64 against Freo in a low-scoring game. I think he's a really good option that could put up a pretty solid score. North under the roof at Marvel, going to make a lot of cash. Someone to definitely be considering in your side this week, and someone that I'm heavily considering as well. I think I prefer Morais if you can only pick one of the 2 this week, but I really like both, and this could be a week where you do look at a double downgrade. That's something I'm looking at doing as well, and these 2 guys are really good options that you could be looking at. Isaac Rankin is next on the list. He's the premium of choice people looking at this week. Number 3 most traded in, 4k jumping on him. I jumped on him last week, thankfully got that 116 from him. He looks everything, the top 6 forward, and I didn't think he would average much over 90. I thought Peatling would be a lot higher in the CBA mix. I knew Dawson would be up there. I knew Crouch would be up there still, and Saligo as well. But Rankin's just doing more than what I thought he would do. Like, he'd be going well over 100 if it wasn't for that being subbed out against the Bombers. But 116 last week, 30 disposals, had 28 against St Kilda. Would have had probably mid-20s again against Essendon. So he's getting a lot of the ball. That score could have been bigger. Like, he missed 2 shots at goal. 5 marks, 5 tackles is really impressive. And he's tackling a little bit, getting a few marks. And that just boosts his floor, right? So I think he's a top 6. I think you need him. I think he's at a really good price at 865k. If you don't have him, he's one of the guys I'll be really targeting this week. Even if that's moving a Bailey Smith, a Caleb Daniel, something like that into your midfield to get Rankin in, I'd be doing it. So, and that's what I did. I moved a forward into my mid last week, and I got Rankin. And I think if you're looking at him, I'll be doing the same. Ryan Marrick is next, 3.9k jumping on him. I really like this pick. I really like the Ryan Marrick pick. 4 break even, scored 101 last week. Had 9 kick-ins, so obviously that's the one thing to note there. But no Jeremy McGovern. Apparently he's going to be out for multiple weeks. Apparently at least a month is from what I saw, but it could just be a few weeks. But still, took 9 kick-ins, as I said, but he took 5 the week before, and he was level with McGovern. They had 5 each. He's getting essentially 15 to 20 points before he even starts. With McGovern out, depending on how many, obviously, behinds that these teams miss, you could be looking at a bonus 15, 20 points to start the game. And if he's going even 50 or 60 in the rest of the game, you're looking at a 70 or 80 score. And if he does what he did on the weekend where he takes some of these marks and West Coast slow the game down, like he had 26 disposals against Brisbane with only one mark and scored a 74. If that's his floor, he could put up some ceiling scores. Not going to be top 6 for anything like that, but 492k for a guy that's going to take kick-ins, be the main distributor. West Coast light the ball in his hands. I think he could average 70, 75 minimum over the next few weeks. And okay, as well where he goes 65 and becomes an okay pick, but I think that there's a real chance he goes 75, 80 and is a really good, like almost knockout pick and makes bulk cash as your F5, F6 if you've got Davidson on field, obviously. I like it, and he's definitely up in my calculations, right? The run's not great. Like, it's not... Like, Giants, Carlton, Essendon, and Hawthorn. They're all going to score a lot of points, I think, against West Coast, which could mean that there's some missed shots there. Merritt gets kick-in. So I like the pick. He's someone I'm definitely considering this week, and I'll go through my trades after, but he's someone that I'm looking at. Libba, number 5, 3.1k. I think we've missed the boat. He's 989k. He's nearly $1 million. So he's getting up to being really highly priced. He started great. And if you started him, like, kudos to you. Great starting pick. I just think you've missed the boat. You've missed the big score. You've missed the good start that he's had. You've missed the cash gen that he's had. He's made nearly 100k. He was the pick to start the year, right? Like, he was the pick if you picked him with no Bont and no Treloar. I should have done it. I looked at it for like half a second, but didn't really look at it too much. I should have considered it more. Freo, Brisbane, St Kilda, Giants. Port is a bit of an up and down sort of 5-week stretch. He'll score well until Bont and that come back. I just wonder, can he continue it? Like, if you're keen on it, I couldn't talk you out of it. I think we've missed the boat. But still, I don't hate it. I just think, as I said, I've missed the boat at least. So 3.1k jumping on him though. It's a tricky one. He's number 5 though. Number 6, Jack Sinclair. It's tricky with Sinclair, right? So you've missed the pop score against Richmond. That was what we people that were bringing him in last week were trying to get. Now he goes into Port Adelaide, then GWS, which is tough. Bulldogs is fine, but then goes Brisbane, which is tough. So 3 of his next 4 are pretty tough. He's a guy that, in this role, he's looking so good, right? You could say he's slightly under still. I think he's priced at like 105, like 106, 107 maybe. If you think he can go 110 from here, he's underpriced. You could go there. And in defense, you could argue that you probably could still pay for a guy that's fairly priced. I think I'd rather him over... Like, he's priced at what he was at the start of the year, right? He's 5k more expensive than what he was. So I think you can still go there. And I think he's a better value pick than guys like the Sheezels, the Zorkos, the Whitfields. Like, Zorko and Whitfield have got great runs, particularly Zorko. But Sinclair is cheaper and it's probably going to be a top 6. So you could definitely go there instead. I'd almost prefer, like, so he's at 1.051. Is Nasai sort of in the most traded in here at all? Yeah, Nasai there. So what's Nasai priced at? So he is priced at... He's nearly 30k cheaper, and he's priced probably at like 105. So if you think Sinclair's better than Nasai, then by all means go for it. But you could always go Nasai as well. And you have missed the pop score. Maybe Holmes is the guy you go for. Again, I couldn't talk you out of getting into Sinclair. But obviously he's not as much value as what he was. You just missed the pop score, right? So, Josh Simpkin, don't mind this pick. I'd prefer Rankin, but if you've already got a Rankin, you're looking for a forward upgrade, he is not too bad. 887's getting a little bit up there, but he started really well, averaging 107.7, 125, 81, 117 to start the season. It just depends, do you think he can continue this going at over 100? Because if you do, I think that he's a good pick. I think he can definitely average... if you think I think he's definitely underpriced if you think he can go over 100. If you think he's more just a mid-90s, maybe just a 90 guy and he's not top 6, I don't see it as being worthwhile. I'd rather just go to a Rankin or just leave. Because the thing is, right, we've all got Daniel, we've all got Smith, we've all got McRae. A lot of people have got a Horn Francis as well. If you've then got a Rankin, Simpkin would sort of fill out your forward line, meaning you probably don't have a Marek, you probably don't have a Garcia. Do you play Davidson on field? I felt like there's getting too many forwards unless you're putting 2 or 3 in the midfield, which, At that point, I think you can have one. I don't know if I'd go more than two, though. I feel like two would be the absolute max. So it's just tricky. Some teams be able to fit him in, but in most cases, if you don't have Rankin and Simpkin, I'd prefer to go Rankin. He's cheaper as well, and I think he's a better pick. Coming in at number 8 is Nick Dacos. I'm not huge on this pick just yet. He's got Carlton, then Sydney. That's Hewitt into Jordan. Tags. I really like him from round 6 onwards from Brisbane. Maybe you don't take him against Brisbane, but he's got a pretty good history against Brisbane. But from this run after, I like Dacos from round 7 onwards, particularly. And round 6 would be the earliest I'd look at him. He's probably going to... His break-even's 99, right? So people are looking at it going, his break-even's under 100. Bring him in now. And there is an argument to be made you could look at doing that right now. I just think if he drops a lower score against Carlton, then gets tagged by Jordan, he's probably not going to get away from you, and he might even get cheaper. I would just wait the few weeks and bring him in then, and I'd target an Andrew Brayshaw or a Tom Green or someone like that around this price. But if you are keen and you want Dacos now, I think we're going to want him at some point anyway, so why not go and bring him now, right? So I don't mind it. Nathan O'Driscoll, yeah, a little bit the same with Libba. I think that the boat may have gone and sailed off, right? He's 596k. Like, he's not cheap anymore. He's near 600k, and if he's 99 last week was great, and he's got a good run coming up, right? So he's got Bulldogs, Richmond, Melbourne in his next 3. Great run. I think if you were to stretch it, this is the absolute last week to jump on him. And I guess it's different, right? I've said with a few of these guys, like I've said Libba, the boat may pass. I've said Sinclair's not as much value. Simpkin, don't love it as much. And Dacos, obviously, with the 2 tags. And then O'Driscoll, boat may have gone by. But at the end of the day, teams are in different spots, right? So maybe these guys are what you're looking for, which none of these guys I could talk you out of bringing in. Like, all of them are good picks. This is just obviously my my thoughts. I feel like I'm being a bit more sort of not as on some of these picks like I normally am. But O'Driscoll, this is probably the last week to bring him in. I just feel like there's guys cheaper now that you might be able to go to instead of an O'Driscoll. But he's been good. Max Hall, this is probably the last week to jump on him. He's just over 400k. Minus 16 break-even means he'll go up good money again. Gone 2 scores over 80 of his first 3 games, which is really, really good. Another mature age recruit there at 22. He'll make good cash, right? If you jump on him now, minus 16 break even. If he goes at 50, he'll probably still make well over 100k in the next 3 weeks. So for me, if you're looking at a forward rookie and you want to go there, I'd prefer Marek for about, what was it, near 80k more. But if you don't have the 80k and you want Max Hall, I think he's a good pick. I like the Max Hall pick. But yeah, as I said, last week to get on him, because after this week he'll be over 450, and I wouldn't be paying 450 for him at that point. Some other guys here, Zorko, is he really expensive, but he's got the run, right? If you're ever going to pay up for someone that's expensive, it could be Zorko. His run is just ridiculous. Richmond, Bulldogs, Collingwood, St Kilda, Gold Coast. That 5-week run is just disgusting how good that is. That could be a 120 average over the next 5 weeks, right? And if he goes 120, it's a decent pick, but you need him to go probably close to that, which I think he definitely can. If you're looking to pay up for a defender, and defense is probably the line where you probably could pay up for these guys, Zorko could be the pick and put up some massive scores for you. I don't hate it. I'm probably not going to do it myself. I think I'm not in the position to pay up for something like that. But if you are, I don't hate it. Davidson, I think you can still jump on. Minus 39 break even? Yeah. If you don't have him, plenty of cash to make. Could go up another 100k this week. Like if he goes 64, he makes 90k. So if you don't have him, I still think it's worthwhile jumping on. Travalia could be the sub this week. I don't know if I'd jump on him. I think I prefer Bice. I prefer Marais. I'd prefer even a Harvey Langford, who's not even on this list. I prefer those guys over Travalia. But if you've got a few of them, Travalia is another option. Matt Rowd, been fantastic. What's averaging 119. Like, great start to the year. 108, 129. Getting those marks as well, particularly in the last game. Didn't do them against West Coast, but if he can do them on a regular basis, we could see Matt Rao really break out to over 100 plus. I don't think I'll be doing it personally at $1 million essentially, but could be a good unique if you were really, really keen and think he goes closer to 110. I think he's more the 100 to 105 guy if he's going to go over 100. But yeah, if you're keen, I couldn't talk you out of it. De Koning, love the pick. If you don't have him, jump on. He's started fantastic. Saligo has been great. Whether he can keep it up, I'm not sure, because obviously Dawson and Rankin and Crouch are all going to score their points. But can Saligo also score in there as well? I'm not sure the Crows can have 4 guys all averaging really high. So is it a Crouch taking the back seat? Is a Dawson going to go a little bit lower than what he started like? Is Rankin going to go a little bit lower? I'm not sure. I think Dawson is over a 110. I think Rankin's a 95 plus, maybe even triple figures. Can Saligo also go triple figures, along with a Crouch, who Crouch is going to get his own ball rate. He'll still average somewhere in the 90s, could even touch 100. Can Saligo also go over 100? That would be my question. And then I'll finish off with these 3. Jake Bowie. If it's the best you get to, I don't mind the play. 740k, though, he's getting up there in terms of you need him to go probably over 90 to be the pick that you want. And he definitely could raise average over 92 so far to start the year. But yeah, you need to be closer to the top 6 now. He's not as much of that mid-price pick that he was if you started him like a couple of people did, namely DC and Vams, I think, were the 2. Harvey Langford, I like him. If he jumped on Marais last week or something like that and you're looking for a midfield rookie, I think he's the next best. I think Langford is going to get a lot more midfield opportunity. I think for a lot of people, they're probably not going to be able to jump on him this week, but I think next week he could be a target. I think he'll still be under 400k. He's someone I'll be looking at next week. I could bring him in this week in a scenario I've looked at. But, yeah, I think you'll get plenty of midfield opportunity for Melbourne. I think they've got to get minutes into him and sort of change a few things. Good run as well coming up, particularly, obviously, from up until round 8. That the 5-week stretch is really, really good. So I like Harvey Langford as a downgrade option. I'm probably looking more at it next week. And Bailey Smith, if you haven't jumped on me already, I think he's one of the top priorities you need to make sure you jump on. I think would he go over 700k, 730? He's only going to keep going up in like massive, massive amounts. Like 96 goes up 74k this week. You got to jump on if you don't have him. Obviously, nearly 75%, so a lot of people do. But if you don't, he's the number 1 priority. You have to jump on him, and you have to bring him either back in or just bring him in general. Moving to the most traded out players for the week. So Will Day at number 1, nearly 10k jumping off him. He's got the bye. It makes sense. He hasn't set the world on fire since that opening round game where he's essentially averaged sub 8 in the next 3. 77, 75, 83. Obviously, they've been 3 games with tags, but Port obviously is tough. But then he goes Geelong, West Coast, Richmond, Melbourne, Gold Coast. Great 5-week stretch. I do look at that go, could like an O'Connor go to him in round 6? Does maybe Jack Graham, but I don't think West Coast will be any difficult. Richmond, like they've sent like McIntosh and guys like that, but I don't think they'll be tough. It's more probably the Geelong game maybe that could be a tricky one, but I don't think he's going to burn you if you trade him. Going him to like a Rankin still is a good trade. I did that exact trade last week, and I think if you could definitely do it this week when he's on the bye, but not a must trade. Probably team dependent for him. You could keep him, you could trade him. It really comes down to your own team. Xavier Lindsay, 9.3k jumping off of him. I'm holding. He's listed as 1 to 2 weeks on the injury report, and it's not a serious knee injury apparently. Obviously, the risk with keeping him is, do they manage him back in when he comes back? Does he become the sub? Does he get subbed out? That's obviously the questions we got to ask. I don't know if he will. I don't think he'd be a sub. I don't think he'd be a sub candidate. I think he could be a sub out candidate if they're sort of getting beaten by a fair bit. But I like holding. He's still got cash to make. 37 break even. I mentioned with Langford that their run's great. Like even if he comes back against Essendon, his run from then afterwards is great for the 3-4 weeks. So I like holding and having him on field as like your M7, M8 when he comes back. So I prefer to hold. But if you need that cash, because he's a good sort of 100, 200k more expensive than some of these guys that we're looking at trading out. If you need that extra cash, I think you could potentially move off of him if it suited your own team. Horn Francis, nearly 7k jumping off of him. He's a really tricky one. I'm probably in the camp still of holding, because if you trade him now, you're locking in the cash loss, you're locking in the bad scores, and if he goes and averages 100 for the next 5 weeks, are we going to be shocked? Probably not. I just think there's more of a well where he turns it around. There's also a well where he continues doing what he's doing. He might just average 80, 85 and be a bad pick, and if you jump off now, you're still jumping off him when he's got a bit of money on his head. You could go to a big mid if you did the maybe Rankin switch where you got a mid forward in your midfield. And you could go get a Brayshaw or a Tom Green or a Nick Dacos if you're keen, or someone like that, and get those points. So it definitely, if your team is in a really, really good spot, I could definitely see this trade. I'm probably holding though, and I think a lot of people will hold. But then again, nearly 10% have jumped off him already. So a few people have jumped off. And with Butters back this week, I think that it will be actually a good thing for him. We've seen the first 3 weeks, it hasn't been good. The run isn't obviously as easy now. It's getting a little bit tougher. Like Hawthorn and Sydney will be a bit tricky. Does Finn McGuinness tag him? Does Jordan tag him here? Windhager. So it could be 3 tags in 3 weeks. I still think if Butters is there, Butters is the guy they're going to shut down. Because I know he's been out, but I still think Butters will be the guy they shut down. So I'm hoping Butters is back, and Horne-Francis will be hopefully a hold. But will be interesting and very team dependent. Lucas Camporelli, nearly 6K jumping off him as well. I think he comes back in this week. I think Carlton have struggled. He was not the issue in the first 2 weeks. He had a good game against Richmond, scored 76. He was okay against Hawthorn, a bit quiet. Got subbed out, obviously, on 30 at three-quarter time. I think if he comes in, he can still score well. And they've still got a good run over the next month. Like look at Bulldogs, Collingwood, West Coast, North Melbourne, Geelong. Decent run there. I'm probably, if he's in, obviously, I think you hold. His break-even 7, he's got cash to make. If he's not named, though, I'd be happy to trade. Because at the end of the day, he's a red dot not making cash. So, in terms of him v Hasty, I'd trade Hasty. I think Hasty's the guy that's going to be more out than in. Whereas Campo, I expect to come back at some point. But if he's your only red dot, move him on. Get a guy that's going to make cash and be happy. Riley Sanders is next, 4.1k jumping off. I think DC made a good 4.3k jumping off. So I think DC made a good point on Sunday night. He is a little bit like the Tom Phillips pick this year. I think he's a much better player than Tom Phillips, but I think he's just going to give us 70s, and he's just going to be a guy that's just going to linger in our teams. He's not putting up anywhere near enough score to make money because he's break-even 64, but I don't think he's going to drop like a 30 or 40 and be a massive issue. I think he's just going to continue churning out these 70s. So he's not a high priority, but if you could go him down to a Marek and then a rookie up and fix that up and do a bit of a sideways switch, that's definitely a play you could look at. If you go him up to a Rankin, that's a great move. If he's in your midfield, going him up to another player is also a very good move. So I think he's definitely a guy that can go, but he might not be at the top of your priorities in your own team. Sam De Koning, this pretty much comes down to team sheets. I'd be happy to trade anyway. Break-even's up to 54. He's made good cash. If you started him, you'd be very happy. 133k made. Had that big score in round 1. Does come up against Melbourne, though. Max Gawn, I do see Stanley getting named. And then he's even got Riley O'Brien and Meek after that. I don't see Geelong playing De Koning solo for the next few weeks. I think this week Stanley comes in, which means I think he's a trade because he could just drop a 40. And you don't want him in best 18. If you get forced to hold him and he drops that, then all that cash he made is probably going to... It's not going to look good after because he's going to lose cash, right? So if you can trade this week, I like trading him. If it's down to a Bice, if he's your D6, or if it's up to a John Noble, if you want to go there, or if you want to go even up further, Max Holmes, Jack Sinclair, Nasai Wanganeen-Miller, one of those guys, I think that's a good move. So I think you can move off him. So he's number 6. Number 7's Isaac Kako, 2.4k jumping off. He could be used as a handy loot this week, but at the end of the day, he's only made 57k, break-even's 25. He's not putting up massive scores like, 51, 44, and 40. Not going to make big cash. If you can go him across to a Marais, or if you've got he's in utility, going to a Bice, or even going up to Marek, if you can make that work, I think that could be a move that you could look at doing and making cash elsewhere. So I think you can definitely trade off of him. Finn O'Sullivan's at 8, 2.2k jumping off. I think you can. He scored 51 last week, 52, sorry, so his best score of the season. 26 break-even means he's still got cash to make, but he's not got the role that the McKerchers and the Sheasels and guys like that have had. So I don't think he's going to go and average 90 from here on. I think he's going to be closer to that 50 average, maybe lower. If you can jump on a Marais, make a tiny bit of cash there, and you've got your red dots sorted. I think red dots like the Hasties and the Camporellis and guys that are more important to fix up than Finn O'Sullivan. But if you've got all your rookies are fixed up and Finn O'Sullivan's the guy that can get you Marais, I'd be happy to jump off because I don't think he's going to burn you by trading him. So for me, I think he can go. I'd almost want to go back to a wing. I think he might score better on a wing and get open a bit more. Whereas in defence, yeah, I'm just not sure at the moment. Which is crazy to say that you wouldn't want someone playing in the North defence because they always score quite well. But yeah, I would look at jumping off him. Leak can go and Perryman can both go. They're the top 10. But yeah, Leak probably not going to play. at least for the in the near future. And he's not making really any cash at all. He's hardly made any cash to begin the season. 18k, break even 23. I'd be trading and going him the Bice is an obvious trade if you haven't done that. If you got Leak, him up to Bice, that costs you 32k. Like sign, seal, deliver. Do that trade and lock it in. And Perryman as well can go. I did joke, obviously, on one of the watch songs that it wouldn't shock me if Perryman went back to the midfield average like 90, 95, knowing the way this season's gone. But I feel like if that were to happen, you just jump back on him. But if he's in this half-back role, which I think he will be, he's just going to not only lose a lot of cash, but he's just not scoring. If you can go him up or even him sideways to a Jake Bowie, if that worst case, I'd much rather that than a Perryman in your side. So he's got to go. Holland's got to go. Just not really much more I can say with him. He's putting up bad scores, scoring worse than a rookie, and he's a lot more expensive than a rookie. He's got to go. Mitch Never, depending on how your team's looking, but he could go. Plays Friday night, so you get a look to see if he's a sub, but I'll be happy to trade. He's not making as much cash as what he was going to with the sub, which, Chris Scott, why are you making him sub? One is like a Jai Clark not being the sub. But anyway, 56 break even means he's not going to make cash unless he goes 100. So you could hold if you've got other issues to make and he's not the sub, but if he was to be the sub, but even still, I'd be happy to trade. Nick Martin, Sicily, guys just trading ones on the buy. Nick Martin's someone that I'm keeping a really close eye on because could get forward status. Even if he doesn't, though, he's going to be under $1 million soon, and I think he's going to be a lot better than what he's done the last 2 weeks. Like last 2 weeks, he hasn't had a great start to the year. Like Hawthorn, Adelaide, and Port are really tough matchups. Like they're not easy whatsoever. After his bye, though, Melbourne, West Coast, Collingwood, pretty good 3-week stretch after his bye. Then he's got North, Sydney, then Bulldogs, Richmond. So North and Sydney a little bit trickier, but outside that, pretty nice run up until about round 11. And even maybe take it the Brisbane game. His run until round 16 is a good run. Don't have many premiums on that round 16 buy either. So he's a guy I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Hopefully gets forward status and then becomes a guy that we're really, really looking at. But he's got some cash to lose. So obviously, I'm not looking at bringing him in just yet. Sicily, been underwhelming to start the year. How much has he dropped? He's dropped 52k. Obviously, only scored the 63. Again, tough start to the year. Has gone 80, 80, 80, 60. Playing obviously bulk game time. His run opens up from round 6 onwards, but you could trade and bring him back in. He'll still be fairly cheap. But if you can go him to one of those top 6 guys, I'm ticking that off if you want to do it. But it is a little bit sideways though, so there is a well where you probably could just hold. Hewitt was a sub. I think there's probably worse issues than a Hewitt in your team, but his cash gen has definitely stalled because of being the sub. Break even's 38. It's not huge though, so if you got him, he's probably one I'd almost be happy to hold. Dylan Moore wouldn't be trading. You're locking in the bad scores, and a lot of people are going to be looking at targeting him when he's dropped in price, so I'd be keeping him. And then Meek I'd trade if you've got him to one of those guys like a TDK or a Marshall would be the two I'd be looking at. Briggs also another option you could look at. Sam Lord would be the last one I touch on, though. I've looked at trading. Break-even's 25. He's gone, 68, 62, and then a 46. So his ceiling's not going to be there. But his job security is great, which is there, right? He's going to get more midfield time as the season keeps going. If you've got all your team sorted and he's the guy that you need to downgrade to get Marias or get the rookie or even go him up to bench someone, I think he can go. I don't think he's going to, again, I don't think he's going to, he's like Foss. I don't think he's going to go and average 80, 85 and burn you by trading. But he's also a bit of a low priority as well. I've looked at trading this week, but I think I've got other issues to deal with. So I'm keeping, but could be someone that you do look at potentially moving on. Even if it's not this week, maybe planning to potentially move him on at some point. My top 5 targets in no particular order for this week. I think Christian Marias is up there. Riley Bice is another. I think Ryan Marrick is in my top 5 as well. I would also put Isaac Rankin in my top 5. And who would I do to finish the top 5? Obviously, I'm not counting guys like Bailey Smith and even Tom DeConey to an extent, and Davidson, because a lot of people have got him. But if you don't have some of these guys, you got to jump on. Maybe not necessarily Tom DeConey is not a must, but like Davidson and like Bailey Smith, guys like that, I think you have to jump on. Who would I put in at number 5? I'll put in Isaac Rankin at 5. So I'll go Marias at 1. I think I like Marrick at 2. I'm going to go Marrick 2, Bice 3. Then I would go... who would I go? I'll go Rankin 4, Langford 5. That'll be my top 5 in order. And Rankin being the guy that I like to upgrade as well. But like Andrew Brayshaw not on the list. I like Tom Green wasn't on this list. I like... There are some guys I like, but in terms of top 5, yeah. Marais at 1, Bice at 2. Marais at 1, Marek at 2, Bice at 3, Rankin at 4, and Langford at 5. So they would be my top 5 targets for the week. In terms of my trades this week, I've been tossing up what I'm doing. I'm currently looking at going Sanders down to Ryan Marek. Bit of a cash grab there. Marek looking really good. And then using that cash to go Angus Hasty up to Christian win. Getting Marek in means I probably don't get as good an upgrade next week, meaning I might have to delay that upgrade till the week after. But I think Marek is really good. I want him in. I could go get Bice. I've still got Sam Taylor, but I'm looking at doing Taylor Bice next week. But I could just do Taylor to Bice and go Hasty to Marais and keep Sanders. But that means missing Marek probably. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do that. If Campo's not named either, I could just go Campo to Marek and Wicks to Bice. Wicks to Marek and Campo to Marais. I could still do that. I got about 10k in the bank, but that means keeping Hasty, which I don't love. So a couple options this week, but I think I'm likely to do the Marek and Marais for Sanders and Hasty. That's what I'm currently favouring, and that might be what I end up doing. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys doing with your trades in round 4. Any trade questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll get to answering all those as well. I'm recording a Patreon exclusive Q&A tonight, so if you guys want to become a Patreon, head to patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, and you can get all your questions answered there. You guys get the Ask Me on Q service for free as well. Heap bonus content in there. Just so if you want to get involved with the Patreon, become a member. Links in the description. If you'd like to just use the Ask Me on Q service as well for a small fee, then head to askmeonq, spelled QU.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. You can send through screenshots to your team, do a full team review, just trade questions. Any questions you guys have, you can use that service. Then you get a personalised audio response straight to your email. And yeah, if you would like to use that link for that, is also in the description. But yeah, make sure you smash the like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, so you can help us reach 4,000 subscribers. That's our next big goal. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for captains, as always, on the Thursday. Watch long will be tomorrow night as well for the Collingwood and Carlton game, so it should be a fun one there. And then Friday for our pre-lockout chat, as always. There won't be a watch on Friday because I'll be going out Friday night to watch the game, but watch on will then be on the Saturday. So looking forward to the next few days with content still rolling through for you guys. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Turn notifications on as well so you don't miss when any content does drop on the channel. But yeah, so thanks guys for tuning in. Good luck with your trades this week. And as I said, can answer all your questions in the comments below. So good luck. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow for the captain's video. So I'm out. See ya.